Okay, so today we're gonna be replacing our EVAP valve in a 2006 Honda Odyssey. Um, there's a lot of videos out there that explain what can be wrong with this valve and why you might want to replace it. So today I'm only gonna focus on locating the valve and replacing it. Okay, before we proceed to locate the valve and replacing it, here are the tools that we're going to use. We're going to use a set of pliers, flathead, a ratchet with a 10mm socket, a 10mm wrench, and our new valve that we just happened to get from Amazon for a very good price, I think. So the first thing we're gonna do is disconnect the negative from the battery. We wanna make sure, just because we're gonna be unplugging an electric component, and this is just a safety measure. So to take the negative out, this is my negative. This actually uses a 13mm wrench. I'm gonna take it, loosen my cable, and just wiggle it out. So the next thing we're gonna want to do is take this cover out. So to do that, we have two flathead buttons that you can see over here. This is one, and this is the other. So we're gonna take our flathead, just a quarter of a turn on one, a quarter of a turn on the other, and now we're just gonna pry it up from the front and from the back. Alrighty, so the valve that we're gonna replace is this one. As you can see, it has an electric connector on the top. It has a hose. This is the one that goes into your intake, and then it has a hose from the bottom that comes from the EVAP canister. So we're gonna have to unplug the connector, unplug the hoses, and we're gonna take these two screws out. There's one on the top and one on the bottom, and that will gonna help us take our valve out. Okay, so first let's take the connector out. I'm gonna push in the back and pull on the connector to take it out. Put it kind of out of the way. Make sure that you don't pull on the wires or anything like that. Now I'm gonna take these nose pliers, just because it's gonna make the job a little easier. I'm gonna loosen my clamps and pull this hose out. You can see this one over here. So that's one of my hoses. The other hose is a little awkward back there, but you can see the clamp is right here. It's a similar clamp to this one. So all I'm doing is I'm pushing it open so I can pull the hose. So I'm gonna do that here. Okay, so that was my hose coming out. There you go. So now with my ratchet, I'm gonna try to get to those two bolts, and I want to be very careful not to drop the bolts, because it's hard to get them out if I drop them. So this is the top one. It broke loose very easily. We can see. I'm gonna try to get the bottom one. There you go. That was my second one. I just want to be very careful not to drop the bolts, because if I do, it's gonna be hard to get them, like I said. So to prevent from dropping it, as I unscrew, I put my hand underneath it, so if it comes out, I'll be able to catch it before it goes down in the engine. Okay, so here's our valve out. These were the two bolts that I was referring to. So now we're just gonna get the new valve and put the bolts in, and then hook everything back in the reverse way. So here's the new one. These are my two original bolts. One over here, one over here. Gonna locate it back where it belongs, which you can see the two holes where the screws goes, the bolts go. So I am gonna give these bolts a few turns with my fingers, kind of to get them where they belong. Right, that was the bottom one, this is the top one. Awesome. We're gonna tighten these bolts and we'll be done in a couple minutes. So we have tightened the bolts. Our valve is securely mounted in there where it belongs. So now we're gonna go ahead and mount those hoses again. I'm gonna start with the bottom one. Okay, so we already did the bottom hose, we put it back on. This is the second hose. So I'm gonna open the clamp, push the hose down where it belongs, and release the clamp. The hose is securely mounted there. So now I'm gonna plug my connector back in. Make sure that you push the connector all the way down. That way you don't continue to receive the code. So we're done with the valve. That was the job. Now we're gonna connect our negative cable on the battery again, and we'll be able to test it in a minute. Alrighty, so we have mounted our negative cables, which is tight and secure there. So now we're gonna put the engine cover in it. And here we'll do also the reverse. Get it located in the back and towards the front. And with the flat head, we're gonna give that quarter of a turn. We should be good to go.